Hello there, welcome back, and we're on an exciting live stream today because I anticipate that we will be finishing all of the story beats for the remainder of this book today, which means that next week we can get started on actually editing everything and you can go through and see my editing process. So I'm really excited about that. And we have 4 chapters and an epilogue to write today, which is a lot. The 4 chapters I anticipate will take the longest. The epilogue I don't think will take very long since it's like one. Usually those are a lot shorter for me, and it's usually like one conversation, and so I'm not anticipating that will be super long. The output I would only pin at maybe 1,000 words at most. So the story beats should probably be at least half that. So should be good there. And basically, we can go ahead and get started. So for this chapter, the crap really hits the fan, and we're going to be getting into the ultimate defeat chapter, which means they've been seizing the sword, they've been getting ready to do everything that they need to do, and then they fail, and everything just stops working right. And but I have a very vague chapter description here. It says the rats are unleashed into London and people start to become zombies. So I really need to figure out something a little bit more specific. So I'm going to go into Claude and just see if I can brainstorm some ideas. I'm not necessarily going to use these as chapter beats, but I'm just going to brainstorm ideas that I can then use when creating my own chapter beats. So we're going to say something like, hang on here. I'm planning out a chapter for a gothic fantasy horror, I guess. In this chapter, Mina Harker who is a vampire, goes into the London underground to confront the 3 brides of Dracula who are about to hatch a plot to bring to use the Pied Piper's flute to control all the rats in the city, feed them the ashes of Dracula, which turns them into zombie rats, and then using the flute, the brides begin biting humans, and I should really just be dictating this. Turning them into zombies. Period. Mina Harker needs to infiltrate the location where the brides are attempt to stop the process, but ultimately fail in doing so, period. Can you give me a list of bullet points of each action that Mina takes and everything else that happens to her, period. We'll let that go. And these aren't actually that bad. Okay, that's good for me to get started. Let's go. Mina descends into the dark, damp tunnels of the London Underground around midnight, period. We get a description of the tunnels from her vampire perspective. And she once again feels very alone. In this situation, noting how silent it feels in this place, period. But she knows that Sherlock and Dr. Seward have her back, period. While they needed to stay back to avoid any life-threatening problems, Sherlock has gone to Scotland Yard to inform them that they may be needed this night, and Dr. Seward went with him. New line. Eventually, she hears something, like faint female voices in the distance, period. Trying to stay hidden, she rounds a corner and spots an empty platform, where the two brides of Dracula are conversing, period. As Mina approaches cautiously, she hears them talking about whether they should delay the ritual until the third bride could arrive. Or if they should continue, period. New line. With a deep breath, Mina strides forward, she, in turn, is wearing the dress that belonged to the auburn-haired bride that they had defeated on the ship to England, along with a black veil to hopefully keep them from getting too suspicious. Period. She hopes that it will be enough, period. Pretending to be the third bride, period. Upon seeing her, the first bride who seems to be in charge, Cosmina, asks where she has been, and Mina says softly that there was some trouble, and some of the party got away, comma, including Mina Harker, period. She says that she went looking for Mina, comma, but was unable to find her, period. And that explains why she was absent for so long, period. New line. Mara is furious at this, comma, but waves a hand in dismissal, comma, saying that it doesn't matter, comma, because the ritual is about to begin, period. And it won't matter about Mina Harker once they have brought their lord, comma, Dracula, comma, back to life, period. Not to mention the fact that the entire city will be turned into an army of undead, comma, at which point no one will be able to stand against them, comma, not even Mina Harker, period. New line. Mina, comma, still in disguise, comma, carefully observes the space, period. We get a more thorough description of the abandoned platform, comma, which is larger than she would have expected and more spacious, period. But mostly she is looking for the flute and the urn of Dracula's ashes, period. She tells the other two brides that they shouldn't wait, comma, and that they should get the ritual with over with now, period, comma, hoping that by saying so, comma, the brides will produce either the flute or the urn, period. New line. Agrees, comma, and walks into a back room, comma, later emerging with the urn of Dracula's ashes, period. There is no sign of the flute yet, period. Mina wonders what she should do, period. There doesn't appear to be a way to stealthily take the urn, comma, but maybe she should just take it and run, period. Places the urn near a cauldron. The cauldron. Near the center is a large cauldron, comma. But there is nothing inside the cauldron, comma. And there is no fire lit beneath it, period. And then runs to the back again for more ingredients, period. Mina considers taking the urn, comma, but Mara is still there, comma, watching her, period, new line. Mara asks her a question, comma, seeming suspicious, comma, asking her why she is still wearing her veil, period. It is not needed in the underground, period. Mina tries to come up with a vague excuse that she enjoys the fashion of it, comma, but the excuse sounds hollow even to her. Period. New line. Before Mara can ask another question, comma, Cosmina returns with kindling and a great jar of some unknown fluid. Period. First, comma, she pours the fluid into the cauldron, comma, and places kindling beneath, period. Then with a match, comma, she lights the kindling beneath the cauldron and fills the cauldron with the strange fluid, comma, after which returns to the back for more things. Period. New line. Mina realizes that now is her chance, comma, and that she will not get another one, period. She snatches up the urn of Dracula's ashes and runs, period. New line. All right, now I'm going to choreograph. I'll get Claude to help me choreograph a chase scene. Given the following story beats, can you continue with a by choreographing a chase scene between Mina and Mara? Paste in what we've done so far. Oh. I should have given it more context. Let's try again, and here is more context. Mina should try to run, and Mara pursue, and just when it seems like Mina is about to escape, she hears a strange melodic note from far behind. Then she hears rats, which seem to be listening to the flute sounds. And after a moment's pause, rats swarm her. Let's make it present tense. Choreograph the chase scene for a little longer before the note sounds. There we go. This is more what I'm looking for. And I might have to grab some of the earlier stuff too. Let's read through this and make sure it looks good. Mina sprints through the dark tunnels, the urn pressed closely against her chest. It's not pounding because she doesn't have a heartbeat. Mara's piercing shrieks echo behind her as a vengeful bride gives chase. Mina's shoes slap against the damp stone floor, each footfall reverberating in the empty passageways. I'm fine leaving that. At an intersection, Mina banks left, then hangs a sharp right, trying to lose Mara in the labyrinth tunnels, but Mara stays right on her heels, bounding after her prey with supernatural speed. The vampire's enraged cries urge Mina to run faster. Her lungs burning wouldn't happen. Up ahead, Mina spots a surface ladder climbing up the curving wall of the tunnel. If she can just reach it, she can escape to the surface. Mina pushes herself to the limit, arms pumping. The ladder draws tantalizingly closer. Just as Mina's outstretched fingers brush the bottom rung, Mara tackles her from behind. They crash to the ground in a tangled heap, the urn flying from Mina's grasp and skidding across the floor. We'll say some, but not much, of the contents spilling out. Mara claws and snaps at Mina as they grapple furiously. Twisting violently, Mina flips Mara off her. She lunges for the urn, but Mara is quicker, scooping it up with a feral grin. Ooh, this is good. Jaw set, Mina grabs a chunk of fallen masonry and swings with all her might. It cracks against Mara's skull, and the bride screams, dropping the urn. Mina snatches it up and takes off running once more. Again, she makes for the ladder, Mara stumbling after her with murderous intent, blood dripping from her scalp. Mina scrambles up the rungs. The vampire closes on her heels. They ascend rapidly toward the surface. Just as daylight seems within reach, a haunting melody echoes from below. Mina freezes, skin prickling. Then comes skittering sounds, the rats swarming. And then we get this little bit. Out of the darkness emerge dozens of rats, crawling out of cracks and crevices, their eyes glinting. The rats seem drawn to the haunting melody of the flute, echoing faintly down the tunnels. Mina freezes as the rodents surround her, squeaking and sniffing at her feet. She realizes with dawning horror that this must be the dark magic. No. Then the note of the flute seems to change, and suddenly the sea of rats start biting her and overwhelming her. Desperately, Mina tries to push through the sea of rats, struggling to keep hold of the urn. The rats nip at her ankles and climb up her legs, threatening to overwhelm her. From behind, Mara's voice rings out, crowing in vicious delight at having cornered her prey. Mina bursts free from the rats and staggers forward, but it is too late. Mara turns the corner and stalks toward her, eyes blazing with malevolent triumph. Mina backs away slowly, trapped between Marta and the swirling mass of rats. Mina clutches the urn close to her chest with one hand, eyes darting about for any means of escape, but there is none. The rats hem her in on all sides as Mara bears down on her. Mina presses back against the tunnel wall in despair. After coming so close, has she truly failed? Mara. Let's see. This might actually be close to the end of this chapter. Let's see what happens in the next one. I forget. Okay, no, we gotta actually go through with the... Takes the same chunk of fallen masonry and slams it into Mina's head, comma, Mina goes down, comma, her eyes blurry, comma, and now the rats are really swarming her, comma, biting her, comma, and keeping her from getting up, period. Before she knows better, comma, Mara has tied her hands behind her back, comma, as well as her legs, comma, and is now dragging her somewhere, comma, even though while this is happening, comma, the rats do not let up their attack on her, comma, and Mina begins to wonder if she will die from 1,000 cuts. Period. New line. When they arrive back on the platform, comma, Mina is able to see that has the flute, comma, and it was her controlling the rats, period. She takes the urn of ashes back from Mara. Comma, mentions something about how futile it is for Mina to fight them, comma, and that she really should be working with them, period. Then she dumps the ashes into the cauldron, which has now started to bubble. Period. After the ashes touch the cauldron, comma, it bursts into a hot red flame, comma, and the consistency of the contents also turn a bright red, period. Mina struggles against her bonds but is unable to do anything, period. New line. Then takes a bowl full, comma, fills it with the red substance, comma, then places it on the ground beside the cauldron, comma, where the rats are gathering, period. Then takes the flute and begins another melody, period. All of the nearby rats turn to her, comma, then turn to the bowl, comma, and proceed to drink up a portion of the potion, period. Mina watches in horror as the rats convulse and proceed through a transformation into an undead rat, period. New line. The process continues for some time, comma, until hundreds, if not thousands of rats have drunk from the potion, comma, and Mina can do nothing about it, period. Her only hope is that perhaps Sherlock can do something while he's still out there. Period. Maybe something to stop the rats. Period. Tells Mina that they will soon take care of her, comma, but first they have a master to resurrect, period. With that, plays another tune on the flute, comma, and all of the undead rats move as one, comma, leaving the underground platform and going in all directions of different tunnels, comma, clearly on the hunt to find humans to bite and spread the illness. Period. Mina feels a little despair, comma, and she struggles against her bonds once more, comma, but to no avail. Period. She is not sure how they are going to get out of this one, period. All right, that's it for chapter 24. This was a long one. Hopefully it generates plenty long. Okay, there we go. It's acting a little slow, but it usually does. And so I saw some of you had questions. First of all, Honeybun, congratulations on being so close to finishing your first trilogy. That is awesome. That's a huge accomplishment. Give yourself a treat or something when you finish, because it's easy to finish it and be just like, oh, now what? Miss Player asked how the text is appearing as I say it. I am using Dragon Dictation. It's a dictation platform. Existed long before AI, like generative AI, hit the scene. It does use a form of AI. It's not quite as good as OpenAI's Whisper, which does transcription as well, but it does do like in the moment transcription. With Whisper, you have to give it a recording, a file, and it will transcribe that. But that obviously that's not really what I'm looking for here, because I wanted to go all at once. This could also potentially be 2 chapters, because I've got like 28 story beats here. Some of them are shorter, but still. We'll just leave it for now. I'll decide whether to split it later. All right. We'll get to the chapter 25 super prompt. And Bonifacio says, would have been cool to have Mina swap Jonathan's ashes for Dracula's. Yeah, but that would have defeated the purpose of, like, yes, that could mean that maybe they would resurrect Jonathan instead of Dracula. But first of all, Jonathan didn't want to live as a vampire. And also, like, that would still be spreading the virus to the rats, so that they could still wreak havoc on London. So we don't necessarily want to do that either. All right. Unexpected victory. Van Helsing shows up at the last minute, and he brings John Watson and the Hounds of the Baskervilles, aka the local werewolves, to the rescue. This will be fine, but I also feel like we need some more Bad Day. Fazio, I have no recommended number of beats per chapter. It is whatever it should be. Generally, if something is getting long, I will see maybe is there a way I can break this up. But I only really do that if the finished product is feeling long. It's just whatever feels appropriate for the scene. Some people have really, really long chapters. Some people have really shorter chapters. I tend to lean towards the shorter chapter idea, but it really depends. Okay, so I'm going to ask it for ideas and say, given the following story beats, continue the story. Sherlock should show up with some kind of flaming device, flame thrower device, authentic to the time period, which he uses to eliminate the rats around him. He should ultimately be captured by the 2 brides of Dracula, and they should be about to instruct the rats to bite him and turn him into an undead creature, when right at that moment Dr. Van Helsing, who has been missing and is also a vampire, arrives along, just says arrives and saves Sherlock. We also, as Van Helsing engages with the two brides, another form appears, and we find out that it is John Watson, who rescues both Sherlock and Mina, untying them. Something like that. Oh, shoot. Dang it. I didn't give it the... Here are the... You always got to give it examples. The story beats so far. I'm just going to give it what I just wrote. Okay, this isn't too bad. I think it requires a little bit of additions, but it's something to go on. Suddenly, let's turn on the dictation app. Suddenly, comma, from far away, comma, Mina sees a bright orange light, comma, down one of the tunnels, and hears the scream of multiple rats, period. Even the brides, two brides of Dracula, are surprised. Comma, even stops playing the melody on the Pied Piper's flute that is guiding the rats, period. Flute. But then Mina's relief turns to fear, comma, as she realizes the danger that Sherlock is in, period. She yells at him to leave, comma, knowing that his flamethrower will do nothing against the two brides, period. She gives Sherlock some credit, comma, but tells him that it was foolish of him to come down now, comma, and that this will be the last case of Sherlock Holmes, period. She brings the flute back to her lips and plays a melody, period. Just as they are about to pounce, comma, Sherlock says, comma, open quote, "You thought I came here alone?" Question mark, close quote. "I came only to light the way," period, close quote. Comma, "and alone." Comma, "and dressed in a thick outfit that covers every inch of his body." Comma, "Mina assumes to make it harder for the rats to actually bite him." A snarl echoes down the tunnel, comma, and all eyes turn to see Van Helsing stride onto the platform, his black cloak swirling behind him. With lightning reflexes, he grabs Mara and flings her away from Sherlock with supernatural strength. Ooh, I like it. Cosmina Cosmina lets out an ear-piercing shriek of rage at the sight of Abraham. Oh, she points the flamethrower at Van Helsing and pulls the trigger, but nothing happens. With dismay, she realizes Sherlock must have damaged it in his fall. Oh, we'll get rid of that, and we'll say Van Helsing moves too fast for her, comma, slapping the instrument away, wrenching before has a chance to pull the trigger, period. Then Mara comes from behind Van Helsing, comma, and he turns to deal with her, comma, and a lengthy fight between Van Helsing and the two brides of Dracula begins, period. And we get, as the vampires battle, another figure darts out of the shadows. Dr. Watson. He hurries to Sherlock and Mina and works quickly to free them from their bonds. I think actually I've decided Sherlock's going to know John was there. I must have found him. Hang on. Is Sherlock even bound at this point? No, he was just being held by Mara. Dr. Watson. He hurries to Sherlock to check on him, but Sherlock tells Watson to go and free Mina first. Period. Watson goes to Mina asks what happened, comma, all while Van Helsing is still fighting the other two vampires. Period. Sherlock briefly explains that Abraham and Watson appeared not too long ago. Comma, shortly after Mina went into the underground, period. Had he known that they were about to appear, comma, he would have gone after Mina and stopped her, comma, but Mina had already engaged the vampires, period. Mina tells them that perhaps between herself and Dr. Van Helsing, comma, they can take on the brides, comma, but they still have to deal with the rats, comma, who must be scattered all throughout London by now, period. New line. I'm going to say, given the following story beats, choreograph the remaining part of this fight. Watson should say that he brought additional help, at which point a bunch of wolves, the same werewolves that they had heard about from Adela in Romania, arrive. The wolves join the fight and it is enough for Van Helsing to kill Mara. Cosmina tries to get away with the flute, but Mina manages to restrain her and wrestles the flute away. Cosmina later escapes. Please choreograph this scene. Yeah, I can work with this. Watson tells them that he brought extra help. Period. At that moment, howls echo down the tunnels. And few rats that remain. While the brides are distracted by the incoming wolves, comma, this isn't right. I'll just delete that. But now that there are wolves closing in, comma, she realizes that she is cornered and will not be able to survive, period. Some wolves knock over the cauldron of red liquid, comma, which goes spilling into the tunnels. And soaking into the ground, period. Screams at this, comma, but turns and starts to make her way out, comma, heading for the nearest exit, period. New line. Mina, comma, now freed from her bonds by Watson, comma, moves quickly to cut her off, period. And without saying a word, comma, she grabs for the Pied Piper's flute that still has in her possession, period. There is a brief scuffle, comma, where Mina eventually gets the upper hand and bites into Cosmina, comma, causing Cosmina to loosen her grip on the flute, comma, which Mina takes from her, period. But at that moment, comma, throws something on the ground, comma, and a great darkness engulfs all of them, period. With the darkness comes a form of bleak hopelessness, comma, like a feeling made tangible, comma, and Mina feels like there are tentacles pulling her down, down, down into nothingness, period. But then the feeling vanishes, comma, and they are able to see again, comma, but Cosmina is gone. Period. Sherlock yells to Mina, comma, telling her to use the flute, comma, and she realizes that there are still rats in the tunnels, comma, and they are nipping at the heels of Sherlock and Watson, period. And while the wolves are making short work of the rats, comma, Mina knows it will not be enough, period. But she realizes that Sherlock is right, comma, and that she has the flute now, comma, she can use it, period. New line. Mina puts the flute to her lips, comma, unsure exactly how it can be used, comma, but simply begins playing a tune and willing the rats to listen to her, period. Immediately they all stop and look at her, comma, and she can almost sense other rats elsewhere throughout the city, open parenthesis, and she is momentarily shocked to realize how widespread they were in the city, comma, and that they must have bitten some humans by now, close parenthesis. But she wills them all to come right back to this exact spot, period. New line. It takes a while, but many of the rats do finally arrive, comma, and Mina restrains them, comma, keeping them all concentrated in a single spot, period. Once she is confident that they are all there, comma, she tells Sherlock gives Sherlock a signal, comma, and he uses the flamethrower to burn all of the rats to ashes. Period. They have won. Period. New line. Yeah, I think that's good. I think. Don't think I'm missing anything. These are taking me a little longer than I had hoped, but they are kind of intense action scenes that require a lot of coordination and figuring out exactly how it should all sort out. But that's okay. I will stay on this live stream until I've finished, even if I have to go late. We have 2 more main chapters and then the epilogue to do. Reading with Love says, hello, just wanted to drop by and say I love the content. And I love you. Thank you for being here. Dive immediately. Okay. Boom. All right, let's move on to the next chapter. We're almost done. Final stretch. I mean, for the story beats at least. Feels like I'm getting to the end of writing the book, but I'm not. I'm just getting to the end of writing the story. And then we'll actually get the written words. Okay. So next one is Bittersweet Return. Even though they lost one of the remaining brides who escaped, they managed to stop Dracula from being resurrected. Mina decides to found an institute in the Harker name for the study and eradication of unusual phenomena. So this should probably be between her and Dr. Seward and Sherlock. And maybe one of the werewolves should probably be involved. I'm going to get Claude's help. Given the following story beats, here I'll dictate this, comma, continue the story beats for the following day, period. They have had a moment to rest, comma, and Dr. Seward has been gracious enough to let Mina stay, period. But as the sun is going down, comma, he says that there are others that want to meet with her, comma, and she sees that Sherlock, comma, Watson, comma, and a man she doesn't recognize show up, period. The man she doesn't recognize introduces himself as one of the werewolves that he worked with them the previous night, comma, one of the mythical hounds of the Baskervilles, period. Oh, no. Dang it. Oh, wait. We got it. Phew. I didn't give it the beats. Let's delete this. And then give it the previous beats from the previous chapter. Not quite what I wanted. Give me 5 alternate names for the werewolf, and it shouldn't include the word Baskervilles. These are too on the nose. How about ordinary British names that include the letters L and C? Lucas Cole. There we go. The reason I do that is because the AI will always give you sort of like the obvious answers. If you give it boundaries like saying L and C, like give me something that starts with the letters L and C, it will usually give you something a little bit better, not as obvious. And I like Lucas Cole. The man that she doesn't know introduces himself as Lucas Cole, comma, one of the werewolves that helped the previous night to eradicate the rats, period. Mina thanks him for his help, comma, and Sherlock interjects that there is much to discuss, period. It seems there have been a few humans that were bitten by rats and they are working to contain them, comma, so that an outbreak doesn't happen, comma, but so far things are looking okay, period. The werewolves have been helping a lot, comma, as they are able to easily find the undead monsters through their sense of smell, comma, and so far they have managed to keep the virus from spreading to others, period. New line. Unfortunately, comma, they have still found no trace of, comma, the final living bride of Dracula, period. The hunt for her will have to continue, comma, but Sherlock hypothesizes that she will have left the country by now, comma, and it will be all but impossible to find her again if she doesn't want to be found, period. New line. Dr. Seward asks what they will do now. And Mina says that she has been thinking about that, period. Obviously, she wants to continue searching for Mina asks where Dr. Helsing has gone, and Sherlock only replies that he went on his own, and that he only intended to help eradicate the brides of Dracula, period. He says he has unfinished business, and Sherlock hypothesizes that maybe he went back to Castle Dracula, but he is uncertain for sure, period. Is going. New line. Mina worries for Abraham, but realizes that he has his own path to find, and that she needs to find hers, but she has weirdly found a lot of peace after saving the city from the brides of Dracula, period. It has more or less confirmed to her that she can be a vampire and do good at the same time, period. But given the mess they have been through, with the rats, and now the werewolves, and even the arcane spells she saw the brides performing in the London Underground, not to mention the Pied Piper's flute, open parenthesis, which she still has in her possession, close parenthesis, all of that has opened her eyes to a new world that she didn't know existed before, period. New line. At first, she thought vampires were alone in their supernatural anomaly, a supernatural anomaly, period. But she is realizing that they are not, and she thinks that there may be deeper forces at work, for good or for bad, period. She says that she wants to find out more. Period. New line. Sherlock asks her, agrees, and tells her that he would love to be part of whatever endeavors she has in mind, period. Mina tells them all that she would like to start a foundation. An institution that would bear the Harker name in honor of her husband, Jonathan. Period. When Watson asks her what it will be about, will be the purpose of the institute, She says it should be for the study and potential eradication, comma, if necessary, comma, of unusual phenomena. Period. New line. Sherlock says that it is a shame that Abraham Van Helsing has left, comma, as he believes the man, comma, especially the man he used to be, comma, would be more than happy to participate in such an institute. Period. Mina replies that they just need to give him time, comma, and that perhaps they can work together again in the future. Period. New line. Kind of stuck here, but I don't think it should end yet. Oh, yeah. Lucas Cole says that he has encountered many supernatural beings. Sherlock reveals that he has begun compiling notes and case studies related to supernatural occurrences, comma, now that he knows for certain that they exist. Period. He suggests that this could serve as a good starting point for the Harker Institute's research. Period. Dr. Seward also offers his asylum and psychiatric expertise, comma, and that maybe they can convert the asylum into a place to capture and study these creatures in a controlled environment. Period. New line. However, comma, at that moment, Lucas Cole speaks up and asks if all they intend to do is to study and dissect these creatures, comma, something he would not be on board with. Period. Mina replies that that is not her intention, comma, that she intends to only take malicious supernatural phenomenon off the board, comma, but that she also wants to provide a sanctuary for those who are benevolent like her and like Lucas Cole and the other werewolves. Period. New line. Lucas agrees that that is a more acceptable option. She says that she wants to honor Jonathan's memory by having an institute to help those who are transformed against their will, comma, like herself, comma, find purpose and do good. Period. comma, and Mina sees that everyone is in agreement, comma, and so she officially dubs this meeting as the first meeting of the Harker Institute. Period. The last line of the chapter is from Mina, who says, comma, open quote, Mr. Holmes, comma, what notes would you like to present first? Period, close quote. All right, that's it for this chapter. What do you guys think so far? I'm curious. We'll let you sound off while I finish just getting this ready. A little bit of a shorter one, I think. Okay. Good. We're good. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to use all of this because we've kind of been staying in Mina's point of view this entire time, so I don't really want to switch to Van Helsing's point of view, which we have here in this description. So I'm not going to do that. However, for the epilogue, which comes right after this, we are going to switch to a different point of view. I do that sometimes in epilogues and prologues. But for books like this one, I like it to stay in one point of view, which has been Mina's pretty much this entire time, and I don't change it unless I have to. In a more complicated book, you would have more points of view, but that's fine. So I'm just going to remove this bit off of the overview. And I'm going to change this because we already did a thing where she found someone abusing a young child. She finds a group of smugglers bringing in a shipment of young children. All right, and I'm going to ask Claude for help on this one again. like you to... Okay, let's use the dictation. Continue the following story beats. Period. Comma. Following the brief description below. Comma. Colon. And then these will go here under previous story beats. And the brief description will be this. I'll modify it. It does a lot better at writing story beats when you give it some and tell it to continue in the same style. I think the one thing I could have done better here is ask it to give me a lot more words. So try again in 2,000 words. See if that does. Yeah, this isn't too bad. This isn't too bad at all. And now it's continuing on doing stuff that I don't want it to do. That's okay. I'm going to say, please flesh these story beats out even further without continuing past them. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but we'll just go with it. I feel like it just gave me the exact same thing. Oh well, that's good enough. I can work with this now and expand on it myself. All right. Mina awoke the next evening with a renewed sense of purpose. Okay, yeah, we definitely need to trim this off because we don't want to tell it, we want to show it. As the last rays of sunlight faded in from the London skies, Mina ventured. Oh, first of all, hang on. Make it in present tense because that's how I write these story beats. We'll try that again. I don't need that first paragraph. All right. As the last rays of sunlight fade from the London skies, Mina ventures out into the night once more. She still feels the pangs of thirst, that subtle urge whispering for her to feed, but she pushes it down. She thinks of Van Helsing, comma, about how he had abstained from drinking blood for so long. Period. She wonders where he is now and what he is doing. Period. She feels sorry that he finally gave in to his temptations. Period. She realizes how hard it is to abstain, comma, and how much effort it must have taken him. Period. Wandering the cobblestone streets, her enhanced senses pick up the noises of a struggle nearby. In the alley, she spies a group of ragged men pulling heavy crates from a wagon. Mina smells blood and hears faint cries emanating from within. The crates contain children. These sinister men are smuggling young... must be the final link in the chain, period. She has finally found the smugglers bringing in children. And she is not sure she wants to be that kind of vampire anymore. And she is not sure she wants to be that kind of vampire anymore. Period. Abraham proved that it was possible, comma, at least for a time, period. If she abstained, comma, perhaps she could live a normal life and die at a normal age. Mina takes the nearest unconscious man and holds him upright, comma, sensing the blood pulsing in his neck, period. It would be so easy, da 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 da. Mina breaks open the crates, freeing the dirty, shaken, and confused children inside. She feels relief washing over her. She has passed her first real test. But not so much because she has freed the children, comma, though that is important, comma, but because she realizes that she has just had one of the largest personal victories in her life. comma, refusing to feed on someone, comma, even someone who deserved it. Period. New line. Mina leads the police to the place where the smugglers are tied up. Period. Many of them have gained consciousness again, comma, and shrink back when they see Mina there. Period. The police are dumbfounded that Mina was able to do this all single-handedly, comma, but before they can ask any more questions, comma, she has vanished into the night. Period. When she insists, comma, the police assure her that the children will be taken care of, comma, ideally finding their original home so they can be returned, comma, or finding them new and improved homes among benefactors in London. Period. Over the next few evenings, Mina continues seeking out those in need. She stops a carriage robbery by scooping up the galloping horse. Leaving the thieves scratching their heads. She plucks a man off the path of an incoming train with seconds to spare, and she leaves a warning pin to the bed of an abusive husband whose wife bears fresh bruises. Each small act of heroism is a victory of compassion over bloodlust, of her human spirit shining through pale vampire flesh. She takes no reward, only hoping her actions bring light into London's dark corners. We don't need that. That whole thing is a little too much. And every morning when the sun rises, Mina returns to the Harker Institute, where Sherlock and the others meet with her to discuss what they have collectively found. Others join them over time. Some are people Mina has helped. Others are contacts of Sherlock's, like the young William who Mina had met with earlier. Still more come from the werewolves and even a few from Scotland Yard. It is the beginning of a great movement. I'm not sure how well the AI will interpret that whole bit, but we'll see. I think that's it. I think that will do it for this chapter. Curious how many words that is. It feels short. Yeah, 6. Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't need to be a long one. Because it is kind of an epilogue of sorts. It's like a proper epilogue. The epilogues that I write are more like the end credit scenes in Marvel movies. So it's like the story is over, the epilogue happened, but there's just a little bit of a teaser for what could happen in the future. All right. We got that. Finally, we get to do the epilogue. The end credit scene. And this one, well, let's see. Can you also write the beats for this chapter? You can tell I'm sort of like getting tired this evening, guys, because I keep going back to Claude and like, can you just help me with this? That's why it's possible to maintain that creativity for much longer with AI. Oh yeah, this is good. At least it started good. In a remote castle, the last surviving bride of Dracula, we'll give her name, Cosmina, kneels before a towering sinister figure shrouded in shadow. The hooded figure looms over her and asks her why, to tell him exactly how she failed. Period. She addresses him as, open quote, Lord Nyarlathotep. She relates everything that happened, comma, telling him that there were too many, comma, that they teamed up with the werewolves, comma, and that she couldn't have been expected to deal with so much. Period. Responds then that she should have died then, comma, fought to the last, period. That would have been everything she could do, comma, and fleeing is just evidence of her weakness. Period. New line. tells her that her failure matters not, period, that she is only one pawn in a vast scheme. To resurrect the forces of darkness on Earth, comma, and to awaken the outer gods. Period. Seems comforted by this, comma, telling him that she will do whatever it takes to help, period. She tells him that she wants to see an age like the age of gods of old, comma, but one that will allow those like her to live in freedom and to feast to their heart's content, period. New line. Rebukes her, comma, telling her that she is no longer needed, comma, as he does not have room for failures in his cabal, period. Dracula would have been an excellent addition, comma, though perhaps he is also beneath attention, comma, since he did, comma, after all, comma, get himself killed by a mere mortal, period. New line. Frantically tells him that she can be of help, comma, but before she can say another word, comma, smashes the walls of the castle, comma, and a torrent of light. No. Opens huge drapes along the castle window and light floods in, period. Screams as her flesh turns to ash, comma, and eventually her screams disappear as well, period. Observes casually, comma, the sunlight not affecting him at all, period. Eventually only clothing is left, comma, along with a small glass vial that picks up curiously, period. He hums to himself, comma, saying that perhaps the young bride was not as stupid as she first appeared, comma, because she has saved a small vial of Dracula's ashes. Period. Muses that perhaps Dracula will be of use to him in the future, comma, which is where the chapter ends. Period. Boom. And with that, we are done with the story beats. And just in time, too. 9 o'clock. I really want to generate this one. Why don't we? Let's do it. I know it's out of order. Let's see. The only thing I need to change about this particular... Come on. About this particular scene is that it's no longer from Mina's point of view. Actually, this should be more like third person omniscient. Why is it... Did I put the numbers lock or something on my... My keyboard is not responding. Maybe I ran out of batteries. Ugh, this would be the worst time to run out of batteries. Oh, come on. Because I'm not sure I have batteries to replace on this keyboard. Yeah, those are AAAs. I would have to charge them. Oh, no, wait. I've got some. Hang on. Hang on. Don't you love all the technical difficulties that always happen when you are live? There we go. Please, yes. All right, so we want to put this, I'm just going to say third person limited point of view. I'm not going to give it a focus character because we could kind of do it from Cosmina's point of view, but then she dies midway through the scene, so that doesn't quite work. So I'm just going to say third person limited. And we got to do that here as well. Third person limited point of view in the past tense. And we also don't need any of these characters here. I could create like a brief character profile. I will give it a setting. This takes place in a distant castle. Along dark moors. During the day, period. The room that they are in is large, comma, and has a large window on one side, comma, which is covered by a long drape. Why is it being so slow? There we go. All right. Now, let's try to generate this sucker. Ooh, I like how it's starting. Cosmina knelt on the cold stone floor, her head bowed low before the towering, sinister figure who loomed above her. Those features were obscured by the hooded cloak he wore. She knew him at once, Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. She did not dare meet his gaze, though she could feel it burning into her. Well, so I would get rid of, like, the reveal that it's Nyarlathotep at this point. Here we go. I am waiting. Forgive me, my lord, I have failed you. I think this is actually good. Angry. Yeah, this is actually really good. Oh, guys, this is beautiful. I love it. I just want to get to the part where he, like, kills her. Oh, here it is. Cosmina had only a moment to comprehend what was about to happen, but she did not cry out or try to flee. She held her head high as the first rays of dawn spilled into the chamber, bathing her in their lethal light. She did not make a sound as the sun's purifying fire seared her flesh, melting her to ash before Nyarlathotep's indifferent gaze. The hungry flames consumed all they touched. Her fine gown, her look. Well, that's not true. But it's pretty good. It's like 80% there. The vampire was gone. Half buried amidst the ash, a glint of glass. Curious, Nyarlathotep bent and retrieved the small vial. Suspended within was a fine powder that scintillated strangely in the sunlight. Of course, the ashes of her sire. Cosmina must have gathered them after Dracula's destruction, clinging to some vain hope of resurrection. Perhaps the vampire's sentimentality would prove useful after all. Dracula's return remained a remote possibility. Nyarlathotep's plans proceeded apace, and he had little need of servants. Still, the old count might have his uses in the campaigns to come. The worthy dead still served, after all. Nyarlathotep slipped the vial into his robes. Yes, he would keep it close for now. One never knew when an extra pawn might prove advantageous on the board. For now, his business here was concluded. With a swirl of darkness, Nyarlathotep passed from the chamber, leaving behind only fading wisps of smoke and the memory of the vampire bride who had outlived her usefulness. What a great chapter. This is going to require very little editing, and like the only editing I need to do is basically continuity to keep it, you know, accurate to what actually happened and what I wanted to happen. That's great. 1,200 words. I love it. I love it. Maybe I should start generating these chapters in smaller chunks, because maybe I'm giving it too much. Because this was obviously a lot less. There was a lot less to go on, and it did a great job with it. 1,200 words. Obviously, I like most of my chapters to be more like 2,000 or 3,000 words. You know, this one was a short one, so I wasn't expecting that. So maybe if I'm generating them in chunks, I'll get better results. But who knows? I'll try it later on. Guys, this has been great. I will see you again, not tomorrow, taking a break for Sunday. But I will see you again on Monday, where we'll start actually going through these chapters and editing them as we go. I just really wanted to see this epilogue because it's exciting to me. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes. I'll see you again on Monday and on Tuesday and Wednesday. I have my folks coming in on Wednesday, so I'm not entirely sure what my schedule is going to look like. But if I can that day, I might have more than one live stream. We might do one in the evening and maybe one earlier in the day. That I will be taking a break on Thursday and Friday, but probably back on Saturday to do this again. All right, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you all. You're making these live streams really awesome. And I hope this is useful to you as well, because like, you know, to actually see what it's like, the actual process of someone writing a book with AI, like a good book, right? Like not just rushing something out there. I hope that's useful to you guys. And yeah, well, I'll see you again on Monday. Have a good one.